This shimmering cloth, capable of bending light in different directions and producing different colors, is silk. It is intermingled with the life and culture of the Indians since time immemorial. Being a bad conductor of heat, silk keeps warm air close to the skin. Hence, it is particularly chosen for cold weather. Stronger than other natural fibers, the major use of silk is in clothing. Garments made from silk are lightweight and absorbent. Silk fabrics have a natural resistance to creasing and wrinkling. Silk's attractive luster also makes it suitable for many furnishing applications like wall coverings, window treatments, curtains, and wall hangings. The state of Chhattisgarh mainly produces three kinds of silk: Tussar, mulberry, and eri. And all the 27 districts of Chhattisgarh have sericulture activities. The silk saris of Chhattisgarh are among the living examples of the excellent craftsmanship of the weavers of the state. The finest quality raw silk and the highest fiber production come from the commonly domesticated silkworm, Bombyx more, which feeds on the leaves of the mulberry tree. Tussar silkworms are cultured outdoors, and this silk varies in color from brown to silver grey. Eri silkworms produce a white, creamy white, or reddish silk. The eggs of silk moths hatch and larvae are fed with leaves. After about 23 days, they are ready to spin a silk cocoon. The larvae spin their silken cocoons to protect themselves just before the pupa stage. The cocoons then are placed in hot water. This frees the silk filaments and readies them for reeling. The silk can also be obtained from undamaged cocoons by brushing the cocoon to find the outside end of the filament. The unwinding of the fine silk filaments from the cocoon is called reeling. Thigh reeling, a long and arduous operation, requires many hours of labor. Chhattisgarh practices this form of reeling as it values tradition. Reeled silk is usually subjected to a process called throwing, in which the silk strands are twisted together with other silk strands to form a thicker, stronger multi-threaded yarn. Throwing produces a wide variety of yarns that differ according to the number of strands and the amount and direction of the twist imparted. Cotton and silk products of Chhattisgarh are of many hues and colors. Natural dye is prepared from ingredients collected from nature. Dyeing of silk or cotton fibers is done using natural dye. Silk and cotton are dyed to a wide range of colors before weaving. Jangir Champa, Raigarh and Korba of Chhattisgarh are famous for their silk products. Jagdalpur of this state can boast of the tribal motifs on Kosa silk. Cotton is one of the oldest known natural fibers which are renewable, biodegradable and sustainable. The use of cotton for fabric is known to date to prehistoric times. It is often spun into yarn or thread and used to make a soft, breathable textile. The cotton flower has 5 large, showy petals which are white, white creamy or even rose in color. The petals soon fall off, leaving cotton balls which have a thick and rigid external layer. On maturity, the capsule bursts open, revealing the seeds and masses of white or creamy fibers. The cotton belt of Chhattisgarh comprises Raipur, Bilaspur, Rajnandgaon, Durg and Dhamtari. Mahasamund on the borders of Orissa is famous for its cotton sari. Be it silk or cotton, the handloom products of Chhattisgarh have gained a worldwide recognition. The word loom means a machine that helps to weave thread into cloth. A handloom is a simple weaving machine in which no power is used. Weaving is done by intersecting the longitudinal threads called warp with the transverse threads called weft. Longitudinal threads are thrown across with the transverse threads which are woven. Warp and weft threads are intertwined according to a pattern to produce a woven fabric. Handlooms are environment friendly. A handloom is an independent and autonomous technology. Energy impacts are almost zero. The sector has no negative impacts on environment and ecology. In the loom, yarn processing takes place through shedding, picking, battening, and taking up operations. Shedding is the raising of part of the warp yarn. Shed is the vertical space between the raised and unraised warp yarns. Raising a shaft raises half the threads, and lowering the shaft lowers the same threads. A header is a part of a loom. Each thread in the warp passes through a header, thus separating the warp threads. Through the vertical space, a filling yarn carried by the shuttle can be inserted. In picking, the filling yarn is inserted through the shed by a small carrier device called a shuttle. The shuttle moves across the loom. It is normally pointed at each end to allow passage through the shed. A single crossing of the shuttle from one side of the loom to the other is known as a pick. As the shuttle moves back and forth across the shed, it weaves an edge on each side of the fabric to prevent the fabric from raveling or separating into threads. As the shuttle moves across the loom, laying down the fill yarn, it also passes through openings in another frame called a reed. A reed resembles a comb. With each picking operation, the reed presses or battens each filling yarn against the portion of the fabric that has already been formed. This is battening. The point where the fabric is formed is called the fell. With each weaving operation, the newly constructed fabric must be wound on a cloth beam. This process is called taking up. Simultaneously, the warp yarns must be let off or released from the warp beams. Hand weavers can weave a cloth as wide as their arm span. If cloth is needed to be wider, 2 people would be needed to do the task. The weaver holds a picking stick that is attached by cords to a device at both ends of the shed. With a flick of the wrist, one cord is pulled and the shuttle is propelled through the shed to the other end with considerable force, speed and efficiency. A flick in the opposite direction propels the shuttle back. The artistic and aesthetic sense of weavers of Chhattisgarh is not content with striking colors they choose for the fabrics, but lies in their mastery over the creation of designs, beautiful textures, fine geometry, and the durability of such work. The weaver not only weaves with yarn, but with intense feeling and emotion. There are a number of silk weaving centers spread all over the state, known for their distinct and typical style and products. Silk is always woven and interwoven with way of life and culture of a region. Craftsmen all over the state try to master the technique of weaving as exclusively as one can think of. They incorporate motif designs, colors, pattern, and versatility in them. No two works can be of same design. Hence, there are innumerable patterns or diversity. The state of Chhattisgarh employs a large number of people and relentlessly marches against mechanization and sophistication. Still, there are many advocates of handloom for reasons including ideology and sheer love for handloom products. There is a large market for India's handloom products in India and abroad. Many handloom centers of Chhattisgarh are well-known tourist spots, drawing visitors from far places of India and foreign countries as well. The Department of Handlooms, Chhattisgarh, is constantly trying to make the sector self-sustaining. To safeguard the interests of the weaver community, skills, resources, and financial help have been provided from time to time. The efforts of the industry are reflected through periodic exhibitions and fairs. This way, the industry can cope with the national and international competition. Chhattisgarh has relatively low-cost, decentralized spinning units in the villages where handloom and fiber productions coexist at times. The units enable direct linkage between farmers and weavers, which essentially decreases the cost of yarn and thus the cost of handloom products. Still, the cost of setting up the units may be too much for an individual, and hence the governmental support is required. Handloom products of Chhattisgarh are provided more visibility through better and wider market network. Handloom products are available in various outlets throughout the country. The loom or the weaving device has been subject to constant hostile threats. Yet, the handloom industry of Chhattisgarh has survived because of its ability to produce exquisite silk fabrics, countless designs, and innumerable varieties. This industry has dared every challenge and competition and is an exclusive example of success in small-scale and cottage industry. For centuries, both the spinning and weaving processes have been traditionally carried out by hand on a cottage industry basis. The weavers of Chhattisgarh have successfully interwoven tradition and modernization.